Hey there friends, it's Michael Kwan with NFTs Unlocked, and welcome to another video. In this video, we're going to be talking about how low can Veve go? Now, yes, I realize that rhymes, and yes, that's a little bit silly, but it's a legitimate question. Over the last 5 weeks, we've seen an astonishing drop of value over the entire digital collectibles as well as comics, and people want to know why. Why is it that we came from such highs and now we're experiencing such lows? Now, this is in some ways a continuation of some of the other videos that I did because I've been tracking and discussing some of this over the last 3 weeks. So in this week, we're going to talk about, some of the new things that happened that could have been affecting this, as well as new ways that I'm navigating this space and my thoughts on the future of Veve. Okay, but before we get started, just a quick reminder that none of this is financial advice. Please do your own research and let me know what you think in the comments. I'm really interested in hearing other perspectives and knowing different people's thoughts. Okay, so if you want to go back and watch the other video from last week, I talked about the 3 groups of different sellers that are really affecting the market prices. So those were people that were using bots and they're just trying to get out of the market and liquidate. There's were people that were basically collecting gems because they wanted to have enough gems for a new drop that was coming out. And then, of course, there's people that are just in the general market that are losing confidence. So let's talk a little bit more about that third group, because I think this is really the group now that is continuing to lose confidence in this market. And why is it, right? So what we should also look at is that the markets overall, whether it's in the stocks or equities and even the crypto space, we're seeing volatility across the board. So in some senses, I don't think it's that far out of the realm to think that people in the Veve app are now getting scared. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world with the war breaking out in the Ukraine and how this is going to affect us in the States or other parts of the world where, maybe gas prices and inflation are all going to basically catch up with us in some senses. So, I think that logically makes sense that people will get scared and say, you know what, well, maybe I don't want to have as much money into this app anymore. And I just see things coming down. They want to kind of cut their losses. So I get it. So I think that's definitely one thing to note. I think the other piece that came out last week was they finally released some details about the MTL process and the money transmitter license. And they said, okay, in order to do this, we're going to release this to a small beta group. And in order to participate, you're going to need to basically pay a 10% fee. You're going to need at least 1,000 gems minimum, and you're going to have to pull at least $50 worth of gems. Also, you're going to have to do KYC, also know your customer. So you got to fill out forms and basically dox yourself with Veve. And so I think people started to realize that 10% was a pretty high fee because on top of that, they're already paying fees when they're buying and selling gems. They're paying fees when they're selling an asset to other people. They're getting the creator cut and they're also getting the Veve cut. So if you start stacking on these fees, it's adding up to a lot, not to mention that there's going to be potential taxes if there's any gains involved. And so people are getting just, I think, really frustrated with the overall understanding that, hey, this is not as, cut and dry as it seems on, paper. It's like, oh, I made $100. No, actually you didn't. You have to take all these fees. When you finally turn it into currency, it's going to be even less. So again, there's that frustration right there. Now, with that said, part of what I'm looking at is, this long 2 to 3 year outlook. And so for me, the MTL is not that big of a deal because I also know that they're working on bringing this to Immutable X, meaning that at some point we're going to be able to exchange it directly for crypto potentially. So in that case, I think I can just bypass MTL and just sell it for OMI or Ethereum or some sort of crypto that I can then, do my own exchange and be able to transfer it elsewhere without having to incur some of these fees. Now, whether or not that happens or not, we'll have to see, but that's my general thought of how this will continue to evolve. I also think that over time, these fees will potentially drop, but in the beginning, I think they're trying to be a little bit more conservative. And we'll see how that affects the overall, mood as we kind of move forward. Secondly, I just want to keep in mind that, there's a lot of people in the app right now, but there's other people that are going to be coming in, and as they flush out the botters, as they kind of wrap things around with the MTL, and as they start building out the MCP points and changing more to a lobby system instead of the normal drops that we're used to today, I think that's going to really change some of the dynamics of the Veve marketplace and the general user base and the experience. So again, it's going to take some time to watch this technology evolution and this app kind of build out. So for me, part of the way that I mitigate this is I'm just being really patient, right? And I'm seeing this as an opportunity. Of course, the first video that I ever did in this, when I said Veve is on sale, I actually ended up buying a secret rare Goofy for 3,000 some gems, and I was super stoked because I was like, this is the lowest it's ever gone, so this is a great starting point to buy in. And lo and behold, the next week, it dropped significantly further, and it was down to like maybe 2,300. And so I ended up buying another one, maybe like around 2,600. And so I was like, man, okay, I got that one as well. I lowered my cost basis. But guess what? It kept falling, and it fell again even this last week, and it got as low as 1,500. So guess what? I bought another one. And again, this is not to tell you to do the same, because everyone's situation is different. I have a certain amount of money that I have into the app and that I'm willing to invest over time because I have a very long horizon and outlook, and I haven't put in everything that I want to put in yet. So I'm basically dollar cost averaging into weakness of a market. And so that's part of my strategy, is to pick up when other people are fearful, because this is the time when I can potentially get things on sale. So for some of you, I know that's not potentially, the position that you're in. And if I didn't have, I think, money to throw into this, I think I would just sit tight. I would probably turn off the app, maybe come back in a year or two and just say like, oh, okay, cool. My thing's back where it was, or it's even higher than where I left it off, and not really just kind of keep looking at it, because it's just going to drive you crazy. So no difference than with stocks and equities. It's the same type of, I think, feel as an investor whenever you're trying to speculate. It's important to kind of understand the long-term vision that you have and then be able to operate within there. And if you have the stomach for it and you can go in and then you can invest into weakness, by all means, this is one of the best times to get ahead and to basically stack your chips. With that said, I was telling you on the other video that I was eyeing a Goofy, Pluto, Spider-Man, the Mini Marvels, Daisy, Mickey to complete my lenticular set, as well as Donald and Daisy for the golden moments. And so over the last week, actually, I did that. I actually ended up buying, like I said, another secret rare Goofy. I ended up buying the Daisy and the Mickey since they were significantly lower, and completed that set. And then also what I did was I started basically looking at the MCP program again and saying, okay, where's the best bang for my buck, since things are all down across the board, but where can I really pick up the best number of points? So what I did was I went to vevesetlist.com. And over here, it's really a great site because they let you see where's the best bang for your buck in terms of MCP points. And so they set it out depending on how you look at it. If you're going to buy a set, if you're going to buy it with comics, or if you buy it with individual collectibles. And you can kind of see like the different MCP points that you can pick up relative to price. And so for this one, you can see like, just this Kingo one. It's $20 and you can, essentially get one MCP point. One of the things with comics though is that you can get some pretty good pickups, and this one here is ones that are coming out, so we'll ignore those for now. But some of these out here you can actually pick up that are already in the marketplace, and you can see that you can pick up an uncommon, and it's a pretty low, 13.98 for the MCP point, as well as a lot of the rares you can pick up 2 MCP points. So that's actually really attractive. So what I did was actually I ended up buying like 4 of these since the prices are already lower, and basically knowing that I'm going to pick up 2 MCP points from there. So again, I'm thinking forward, because some of this MCP program is going to be retroactive, meaning that they're going to go back and look at when you bought this and then give you points according to when you bought it. So that's important because, again, people are, in a state of fear right now. They're just really frustrated. They don't want to stay on the app. They're starting to cash out. But guess what? Guess what's going to happen when they announce something really big? Let's just say they do with the Pokemon at some point, right? And we start going into this MCP program. People are going to come back to the app, in my mind, and they're going to get all excited again, except this time they're going to be playing catch up. But guess what? I'm already going to be in a position where I've already stacked my chips. And so it's going to put me in a better position to have a bigger advantage. So again, not saying that you should necessarily do this, but if there's certain things in here that, aren't that expensive, don't go out and buy a Secret Rare Goofy, but, maybe you can get some of the comics at these lower prices that will give you some additional MCP points and give you 2, which is, much better than some of the other deals with some of the other collectibles and sets. So just something to keep in mind, I think, as we go along. And one thing that you can do to kind of mitigate this time of, uncertainty and use it to your advantage. Again, it all comes back to that mindset, right? How are you going to use these situations to your advantage and not follow the herd? Because guess what? If you follow the herd gets slaughtered. All right, well, good luck from here. And, I'll continue making some of these videos and seeing where we go. I definitely hope that we find a bottom soon. But until then, I'm actually kind of tracking. And you'll see that I've got Donald up here. And you can see that Donald came all the way from the very beginning. I think it was a floor of 2350. Yep, 2350, and it's dropped all the way to 895, which is just a crazy drop. That's like a 61% drop. And so this is actually really attractive right now, and I'm thinking about actually picking it up. With that said, it could potentially drop even further. So I'm kind of watching to see where things kind of stabilize, and if we see another uptick up, I'm going to be patient at this point. I still have a little bit of money that I could still throw at this, but I want to take, my time and wait for the stability to kind of kick back in. I'm also keeping an eye on Iron Man. He's at 1,600 gems at the moment, and I could really use that one to complete that Avengers set and the Marvel set. So definitely interesting times, definitely fascinating. And if you found any value or entertainment in this video, please give me a like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. That helps YouTube to share it with more people. And comment in the comments below. Let me know what you're thinking. Are you frustrated with Veve? Are you selling off everything? Or are you holding? Are you buying anything? I'd love to know what your thoughts are and your sentiments, because at the end of the day, the market is made up of you and I and other people. So I'd love to know what you think. And until then, we'll see you in the next video. Stay blessed.